to the show. The show is all about you. Not you, but you and your stories. Because everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Brought to you by JeffSeltzer.com.
Hello and welcome to Everybody Has a Story with Jeff Seltzer. I'm your host, Jeff Seltzer, and as I mentioned last week, I'm flying solo this week. So as I said last week, I am talking to myself. Literally, maybe figuratively, I'm not sure. I'm sure some of you, maybe the dozens are out there listening, but this week I do not have a guest, so I am having a conversation with myself, by myself, which is always weird, right? It feels like I'm just having one long monologue without any kind of response, anyone to react to. Any real, breaks or pauses while someone else talks. So I do have a number of topics. I think a lot of them are a lot of fun this week. So hopefully you all enjoy it and agree as well. First thing I did want to talk about was last night I went to see Weird Al Yankovic in concert. So I'm recording this on Sunday, July 13th. Last night I went to Madison Square Garden with a few of my friends, with Rich, John, and John's daughter. So Weird Al Yankovic at Madison Square Garden. It was really cool. I grew up watching Weird Al Yankovic. He did a lot of, parody songs. Lots of really cool stuff that was a big piece of my childhood. Never saw him in concert. I know Rich and John had previously. As soon as they announced he was playing the Garden, they were all into it. And I was like, sure, sounds amazing. Let's do it. This is the first time that Weird Al has played Madison Square Garden, as he's done a lot of, let's say, smaller venues. So for me, it was interesting because, this deep into his career at 65-ish years old, he's finally playing Madison Square Garden, which is like the mecca of where all people, celebrities, musicians, entertainers strive to play. And it sold out. Like, it ridiculously sold out. Before he went on, it visibly looked like every seat was taken. And it was great to see. A few things I'll say. So I did pay up and bought the VIP package. So me, John, Rich, and John's daughter all had tickets. Our seats were really good. We were sitting in section 102, row 22. So if you don't know the Garden, that well, it's basically straight on, first elevated section. Last row of that section looked great, sounded great, was a really great spot. But like mentioned, I myself bought the VIP package. They did not. So what that meant was, before the show, I got to check in. They gave me a lanyard, like a VIP deal. Got a blanket, which at this point I don't really have any use for. So I guess contest, if anybody is listening and wants a Weird Al Yankovic blanket, still factory sealed, I will ship it to you. First person that sends me a direct message on Instagram at Everybody Has a Story Pod will be the new owner of the blanket. I'll even pay shipping, assuming you live in the continental 48. Find a happy home for it, find someone who'll use it, or a collector. I mean, at the end of the day, we have enough blankets in the house. I've gotten blankets from work, things like that. This is one that, while it is neat, I guess, is a little busy. Not sure I really have a good home for it. So hoping to find a happier and better home for it. So again, if you want to be the proud owner and proud winner of the Weird Al Yankovic throw blanket, direct message me at Everybody Has a Story Pod on Instagram. First person who sends something in will be the winner of the blanket. So there's that. Also got us first access to the merchandise, which I was probably about fourth or fifth in line for the merch. Bought myself a tour t-shirt, which I thought was cool. Weirdly, they didn't have the New York City Madison Square Garden specific concert t-shirt. So what they did was they put it up on the website and offered free shipping if you ordered it. So I think if anybody's interested, it's probably still up on Weird Al's merchandise site if you didn't get to go to the show, or if you went to the show and want the t-shirt. So there is that. I ordered that shirt for myself as well. So while waiting in line to get in, because VIPs had first access, I did meet a number of other Weird Al Yankovic VIP ticket holders or members, which is really cool. A year ago, I spoke with Christina all about passionate fandom from professional wrestling. Weird Al Yankovic, I assume, like basically every musician or every celebrity or form of entertainment has similar types of passionate fandom out there. Met a number of people. I met Bob, really good guy from New Jersey. He was there with his girlfriend. In the last week, he went to Las Vegas and Toronto to see Weird Al Yankovic in concert, and he gets, it seems like, the VIP package every time. So he's definitely what I would call, a passionate fan of Weird Al Yankovic, which is really cool. finding something that you love in life, finding something that gives you happiness, you know, all the power to you. I'm very happy for you, happy for everybody who can find something that they legitimately enjoy and you know, makes them smile, which is great. So met a bunch of different people, met a bunch of others, met a couple of guys who have a Weird Al Yankovic podcast. So that was interesting to me in the fact that there is, I mean, I guess it shouldn't be surprising, but there is a very specific Weird Al Yankovic podcast where what they do is they record after every show, like a review of the show. They record news, they record all sorts of different things. So that was fun. Talk to them briefly. Pulling up right now to find who they were. So if anybody has any interest in a Weird Al Yankovic podcast, on Instagram, go to 2000 inch. That's 2000 INCH. It's called David and Ethan's 2000 Weird Al podcast. Lots of cool stuff there. Talk to them. Maybe we'll have some collaboration in the future, maybe not. But either way, obviously, you know, looking to share people's stories. So I might in the future have somebody who was at the Weird Al Yankovic concert, besides myself, to talk to get their experiences, to learn more about like what they do, how they travel, what they look for differently in concerts. Again, my comparison from before was professional wrestling, where, you know, I've traveled for wrestling. I go to lots of wrestling shows. For me, wrestling, obviously, every show is a little different. You have different wrestlers in each show. Weird Al Yankovic or other performers oftentimes use the same set list with slight variations, like they have a surprise song. But there isn't really that much. So I kind of look at it as it's probably, you know, they like the music. They like interacting with Weird Al. They enjoy the fact that eventually he knows who they are. But at the same time, you know, if it's a bunch of people who do this, it's a fan group, it's a fandom, right? So they connect with other people or other like-minded individuals who have similar interests and similar, you know, things that they like to spend money on, things they like to see. Plus, and I was talking to Beth about it this morning, and I agree, it oftentimes gives them a reason to go to a city or a town that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. So let's say they have no interest in going to Los Angeles, but Weird Al is playing there. You go out there for the concert, see the concert, and maybe see a day or two in Los Angeles, see the sights, find something else. Same for Toronto or Vegas or wherever else Weird Al's playing. So you can obviously, you know, insert any other performer for Weird Al in that scenario in terms of somebody who follows them or has passionate fandom. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think it's amazing. You know, find something you love, find something you're interested in, and if it brings you happiness, that's amazing. Really, really love to see that for people. Another thing that I wanted to bring up, so that was yesterday. I did, that's right. So after the show with the VIP, waited in line, got a autographed Simpsons Weird Al Yankovic action figure, which I brought. He signed it, which was really cool. And then I got a picture with him as well, which as I'm recording right now has not been uploaded yet, but hopefully I'll see that soon. Maybe I'll post it this week. Actually, I will post it this week once it is up to go along with this podcast as a supplement. It was really cool. The downside was the meet and greet with Weird Al took place after the show. So the show ended at 11 o'clock. I skipped the encore and went straight to the line for the meet and greet because from that location, you can hear the songs anyway, so which was fine. I was first in line for the meet and greet. They let friends and family of, I guess, Weird Al or any sponsors cut in front as well. But with that said, I think I started around 11:50 or so p.m. was the meet and greet. I think I was done by about 12:45. So 12:45, I was in the city, drove home. I was in bed about 2 o'clock this morning, which for anybody who knows, I'm not a night owl. So I did not sleep as well as I would have liked to, but it was definitely worth it. It was a lot of fun. Definitely a bucket list, meeting one of my childhood, heroes or childhood people that I really enjoyed watching perform. So more to come on that. We'll see if I do talk to or interview or have a conversation with other Weird Al fans. But if nothing else, I love hearing about their stories, hearing about their journey, and just hearing about what makes other people happy. Additionally, this week, another really awesome thing that happened was on Tuesday, I got to go to the Sirius XM studios, and I was in a town hall in their fishbowl for a panel with the cast of the new television series Dexter Resurrection. It was a lot of fun. I think a few days earlier, my buddy John had messaged me and said, "Hey, I won tickets to do this. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Absolutely. It sounds awesome." Because I knew Michael C. Hall would be there. The guy who plays Batista was there. The guy who plays Harrison, Dexter's son on the show. A bunch of others as well. So I thought it'd be really cool. So I was like, absolutely. So I took off of work for Tuesday, went to go do that. Additionally, I think it was on Monday, John said, "Hey, if you have any questions or if you want to ask questions to the panel, we have to submit it ASAP and they will see if they can pre-approve it." So did that, sent in a question, which did get approved, and I was able to ask that on air. So In a few moments, I'll actually play that interaction because I was able to find it on the interwebs. It was really cool. So we went there. We sat in the audience. I sat first row. I was like 3 feet away from the entire cast, which was just surreal. It was awesome sitting there so close to a bunch of the actors and characters from one of my favorite shows, which, again, Dexter Resurrection is a sequel or an epilogue or a follow-up to the original Dexter series. Last year, they also had Dexter Origins, which was a prequel. So in the Dexter universe, there's lots going on. I've watched the first episode so far of Dexter Resurrection, which was really cool. Really enjoyed it. Really, really well done. So again, sat in the audience, got to ask a question. Eventually, once it was over, they kind of kicked us out immediately from the studios. What I did fail to mention was before the interview, while we were waiting to get in, did see a number of Howard Stern notables. So anybody who is a fan of the Howard Stern show, we did see John Hine, the old Jump the Shark innovator creator, which was cool to see. Would have asked for a picture or had a quick conversation, but he was in the middle of a conversation, so it didn't feel like it was appropriate to interrupt in his place of employment. Additionally, we saw Richard and Sal walk by, but we were in line and they were probably about 30 feet away, so it didn't really seem appropriate at the time. After the panel was over, we went outside. Weirdly, I'm standing around and I hear somebody yell at my name. I hear, Jeff. And at this point in life, I generally don't look because I usually think either A, it's somebody that's looking for another Jeff, which, again, I know Jeff's kind of a dead name, so there's not a lot of people named Jeff, so it's not as likely, or it's somebody goofing on me. But weirdly, it was my buddy Gilbert, who runs the PWJ wrestling shows, who I'll see again in 2 weeks at the next show. So he was just there looking for autographs from some of the celebrities that were coming in and out of the Sirius building. Talked to him, which was pretty cool. Again, I haven't seen him in a while, so nice to catch up. He had mentioned that even though we didn't get pictures with the panel after the panel was over, that he showed us which door that I'll be coming out of. So if we wanted to try to get a picture to hang out there. So it was very hit or miss in terms of the pictures I got. So what I'll say is the actor who plays the role of Harrison Morgan, Dexter's son on the show, really nice, really awesome. He stopped. I got a nice picture with him, briefly chatted with him. The other characters, it was very... so I did get pictures, but it was more, let's say, pictures of them walking by me in the background, like they were not stopping for me, or for anyone for that matter. But I do have a picture of myself with Michael C. Hall walking behind me. Came out pretty well, all things considered. Got a picture of myself with the actor who plays Batista. Again, he was walking behind me, but came out well enough. That's the awesome thing about like iPhones and live photos, and the fact that you can take a bunch of pictures and you just kind of edit it or select the key photo, so you can figure out the best perfect spot where they were right behind you. So that worked out well. Additionally, while we were outside waiting for the actors, Bobby Kelly, comedian who I think he was on Last Comic Standing years ago, he has a show on Sirius XM. He was hanging out outside, so met up with him real quick, got a picture with him, which was nice too. With that said, I did want to briefly share the audio. So anybody who's watching on video right now in a second is going to see some of the pictures from the Dexter panel. Anybody who's just listening will hear the audio. So I got to ask a question. So you hear Ron Bennington, the host of the panel, basically send it over to me. I ask a question, and you'll hear 3 different actors respond to my question. So I thought it was really cool. I thought they all did a great job in answering the questions. So give me 1 second here and let's play this. This is my first time playing audio or playing something else while on the air. So let's see how this works.
That was great. Who do we got next, Gil?
Next up, we have Jeff.
Hey, guys. So Dexter Original Sin was amazing. It was probably the best new show in years, I think. One thing that made it awesome, I thought, was the casting of the young versions of all yourselves. My question is specifically for those of you that had a younger version of yourself on the show. Did you guys work with them? Because the mannerisms were spot on. Like, everything was like, well, my wife always tells me, Batista looks like Batista would have 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Just the way he carried himself, the way he dressed, stuff like that. Like, did you guys work with them one-on-one, or is it like other acting coaches that work with them?
Well, I know James Martinez from way back. No, I think he did a great job in probably watching the old ones. And there were times where I was watching Original Sin that I was like, do I do that? Do I make my face like that? And then I go back and check and I go, yeah, I do, because you don't notice exactly what you're doing. But Yeah, and as for him looking like me, I was never as good looking as that guy. But I was very flattered when I heard he was doing it.
Free to go in another direction.
It was I didn't really give any pointers to Patrick in terms of how to do it. I corresponded with him about, I don't know, certain things I've discovered about the character in the world, but that's all him.
You know, it's, you know, and also to your question about talking with the actors, I'm not going to tell Christian Slater how to play me. You know, he's a great actor. He's famous, and he's a friend of mine, and I thought he was a beautiful Harry. And it's the characters that are iconic. You know, who's your favorite Hamlet? You know, who's your favorite this? Who's your favorite that? Who's your favorite Stanley Kowalski? And dare I say it, I feel that Dexter has begun to enter that hallowed ground where our characters are so iconic that other actors could actually play them without being told what to do.
So that was an awesome experience. I really, really enjoyed that. For anybody who wants to re-listen to that or wants to watch that, I did post that over to YouTube. A quick, easy way to get over there is if you go to our new website, everybodyhasastorypod.com. That'll take you right over to that video. So if you wanted to hear the audio again, additionally, if you're just listening right now and wanted to watch that with the still photos of me with the various actors, go check out everybodyhasastorypod.com, and that is posted there. A few more things I want to talk about or bring up before we call it a week is I know a while back I'd mentioned that I was going to be doing live commentary at a professional wrestling show. It was scheduled for late May. And it's a topic I wanted to bring up and kind of like give an epilogue on for a while, but I haven't done a solo pod since I think early May or so. So I haven't had the opportunity. So what I'll say is this. I did end up doing it. It was a lot of fun. I sponsored a wrestling show in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. It was a lot of fun. I'm not going to mention the name of the show, but it was cool. I did get some really cool opportunities and experiences out of it. I did get to meet. So I did sponsor a match between 3 lady wrestlers. So Notorious Mimi, Diamond Varaga, and Janai Kai. All 3 were wonderful. Spoke with them before the match, before the show. Got some notes on each of them as I was preparing myself for the commentary, as it was something that I wanted to do, but I also wanted to do it professionally and come across well in terms of being knowledgeable and such. What I will say is the person who ran the show, so the owner or whatever you would call in terms of the company, communication wasn't great. I showed up. People who worked there didn't seem to know what I was doing there or why I was there or that I would be doing this. They said that they thought I was going to be doing a live podcast during the show, which was never part of the agreement. There was a lot of just kind of like question marks and let's say just lack of communication on their part, because it does take multiple people to run a wrestling show. So the person that I probably contractually agreed to with this was not the person who was actually running the show at the time. So things got lost in translation. It wasn't until around the intermission time that I finally got final confirmation that they understood what was happening. This was going to do it. Obviously, my anxiety levels were up the roof at that point in terms of I was trying to figure out like, hey, was this going to happen? How was it going to happen? Would I be set up? They had different ideas at the time too, like, hey, Jeff can go, without headphones, and we'll share a microphone with somebody else and whatever else like that. Which, just from a commentary perspective and audio and a quality, it wouldn't have worked out so well. Long story short, at the end of the day, they were able to make it right in terms of getting it to work. What I'll say is I did end up calling the match. It was great. I have that match along with my commentary posted on jeffseltzer.com. So I am going to share my screen once again for anybody watching. For anybody not watching, don't worry about it. Just, again, go to jeffseltzer.com. And at the very bottom or near the bottom of jeffseltzer.com, one of the last videos there is the time I did live wrestling commentary. So if you click on that link, it'll take you right to the match. What I will do is, just as a little teaser, is I'm going to play a few moments of it right now, which also reminds me of the fact that they made a mistake in that, again, I had said that I was going to be sponsoring a match, and this is what we had agreed to. But then once the match intros took place, the ring announcer only announced that I was sponsoring one of the wrestlers in the match. So that's the part that I'm going to play here. I'll play like a minute or two of my commentary, and then we can kind of move on to something else. But wanted to share this. But again, if you want to see the whole match, it was a fun match. 3 wrestlers that I really, really enjoy. 3 wrestlers that are really great and I think are the future of wrestling. Plus, if you want to hear my commentary, which was a lot of fun, I did much better than I thought that I would. I definitely am happy I prepared for it. Again, go to jeffseltzer.com, and it's one of the last videos on the page.
Sponsored by Everybody Has a Story with Jeff Seltzer. Fighting out of Washington, D.C., this is the Kick Demon tonight! Kai!
Super excited to hear that Janai Kai, who recently was in Japan, had a lot of great matches.
Certainly not least, she is accompanied by the governor of BCW, AJ Pan. Fighting out of Westchester, Pennsylvania, she is your reign, defending BCW.
Cliche term now. It's what she deserves.
Completely agree. Still super young. Still the sky's the limit for the angel from above.
Huge dichotomy here amongst these 3 competitors. Keep in mind, Janai Kai.
So that's probably a bit, it's enough for right now, I would say. What you'll see is if you listen or watch the whole match, I do try to throw as many plugs for this podcast, my website, as possible. It was a lot of fun. I was definitely able to, share all the knowledge and information that I got from all 3 ladies before the match. Came across well. I thought I got a number of compliments afterwards about how good it was, which for me, again, I was super nervous and I had a lot of anxiety going into the actual match, just based on the fact that I didn't know until about 10 minutes before the match that I'd actually be doing this because of all the chaos and nonsense behind the scenes. So it was a lot of fun. Once again, if you do want to watch or listen to my commentary on the match, go to jeffseltzer.com. It is one of the last links on that page on the bottom there. A few more things I wanted to talk about. So for those that play video games, College Football 26 just came out this week. So this is the second year in a row that a college football game has come out from EA Sports. A number of years they stopped making them because the players wanted to get paid, and for years they couldn't legally get paid. Fortunately now, because of the NIL agreements and the changes in the legalities with NCAA, players can get paid. So now college football, the video game, has come out. They've got real players' names, real players' likenesses, and things like that. Players, I think of what I'd read, were paid like $600 plus a free copy of the game to have their name and likeness in the game. One of the things that I've really enjoyed about this is over the last week, as the game has come out, there are a number of college football athletes who are on TikTok who have posted a picture of what their player looks like in the game and then shows their own likeness. And they're basically rolling their eyes or shaking their heads no, because many of them look absolutely nothing like the player in the game. I'm sure as an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old, they were all super excited when they found out they'd be in a video game. Much like, as I've read, like a lot of professional wrestlers are the first time that they're in a video game. But I'm sure many of them, once they actually saw their likeness, were kind of like, yeah, that's my name, but that's not me. You have, there are obviously some that are a little bit different in terms of like, hey, I got a haircut since then or whatever else like that. But then some that aren't even close. Like some of them, hair is completely off in terms of different look, different hair color, facial hair. Some of them are looking like facially look absolutely nothing like it. Skin tone. I haven't seen any where it's like a white dude that looks Hispanic or vice versa or anything like that. But I'm sure there are plenty out there as well. I am curious, like what EA Sports is, what their methodology is in terms of how they, created thousands of college athletes in this video game, let's say so quickly. Like, did they outsource it? Did they actually have an expert? Like how that works? But again, it's funny to watch on TikTok a lot of these college football players who, are probably really excited to be in the game and then saw themselves and were like, yeah, that's not really me. So I'm not really so sure about that. So that was fun. Definitely, I'll keep an eye out for those and see what else pops up. A few more things to talk about. So Universal Fan Fest. So another thing that I did before the last, or actually I guess maybe since the last solo podcast, but I haven't had a chance to talk about. So over the months of, I think it was like March, April, and maybe early May, Universal Studios Hollywood had something they called Universal Fan Fest. The idea was, it's kind of like Halloween Horror Nights, where it's very experiential. But it was built around Back to the Future, Dungeons and Dragons, and Star Trek. So for myself, I'm a huge Back to the Future dork. Absolutely love it. Beth loves Back to the Future and loves Star Trek. Neither of us are that into Dungeons and Dragons, but we figured it'd be cool to see. the big draw for me was the fact that I've been to Universal Studios Hollywood multiple times, VIP tour, standard tour, stuff like that. And that is where they filmed Back to the Future, specifically like the clock tower and like the town center from like the 1955 scene. Every time that I've been there, they've been filming something else, a TV show or a movie in that area. So I've never been able to get around the clock tower area. For part of this event, they made sure that that area was clear. They made sure to redo it up so it looks exactly like it did in Back to the Future. So we got to basically take the tram down to the clock tower area. We saw a bunch of signs that were very familiar from the movie. They made that whole area just feel really cool, like really authentic to the original movie. And then we got a bunch of pictures in front of the clock tower, in front of DeLorean, in front of all sorts of stuff. They had one spot where at the end of Back to the Future Part 1, where Marty goes back to the future, back to 1985, and the ground has like fire. And they made it look like that, where they had fire, they had a license plate spinning around. It was really, really cool. I'll see if I can post some pictures this week on that. As it was a lot of fun, looked really cool, and it definitely was a bucket list thing to get, pictures in front of the clock tower. The Star Trek experience was neat as well. Again, I'm not a huge Star Trek fan, Beth is, but we really enjoyed it. It was kind of like you're in like a story or in like a movie or TV show of Star Trek, going from scene to scene. The level of detail was just like, it was amazing. Like, they definitely invested a lot of money into making it feel as authentic as it did. Dungeons and Dragons, I respected and appreciated the level of the props, the special effects, stuff like that. But the story did absolutely nothing for either of us. It was cool to be there. It was cool to see it. But Back to the Future and Star Trek were awesome. Also, we did Universal Hollywood for the day. So doing the Jurassic World ride there was a lot of fun. I do really enjoy the Jurassic Park ride at Universal Studios Florida at Islands of Adventure. I think the Jurassic World ride is significantly better. Just little things here and there. I mean, they've definitely done it up more recently as it got the revamp in the last few years. It feels cleaner. It also, just some of the effects are just better and more spot on. So really enjoy that. So had a good time with that. And then Beth and I hit Disneyland for a couple of days, enjoyed that, and then came home. So lots of cool stuff there. But again, if they do Universal Fan Fest again in Universal Hollywood, would definitely recommend it for anybody who has an interest in any of the topics or movies or, let's say, licenses that are there. Speaking of Universal Studios, they've been announcing more and more houses for Universal Studios. Florida's Halloween Horror Nights, for those horror fans out there that enjoy it. So I've gone every year since 2012, with the exception of 2020, when they didn't have it for COVID reasons. They just didn't have Horror Nights that year because, obviously it didn't feel safe for everyone to be on top of each other or near each other. Some interesting houses they've announced for this year. So they did announce they call it Jason. It's basically a Friday the 13th house, which I'm really, really excited about. A number of years ago, they had a Jason versus Freddy house, which was cool. I'm hopeful. I've heard rumors for years about a potential like reboot of a Jason TV series or something. Would really love to see it. I know there's been all sorts of behind the scenes issues with rights and such. So hopefully they can figure that all out, and that actually does come to fruition. Additionally, this is a big one. They announced a Terrifier house, which for those that don't know, Art the Clown is he's a villain. He's a monster of sorts, supernatural sort of. And I think there have been 3 Terrifier movies so far. Definitely very gory. I believe those movies are rated NC-17, so all most horror movies are R. This one, just the level of gore and disgust is definitely next level. I prefer a little bit more story to my horror movies. With that said, I respect it and get it for those people who do like Terrifier. Last year, I saw Terrifier 3 in theaters. It was the first of the Terrifier movies that I saw in theaters. The first 2 I saw, I think, at home on demand. Definitely a different experience seeing in theaters, and especially since I believe I was the only person in the theater at the time. So I was able to very easily kind of like close my eyes or kind of like walk around or whatever in parts where I was maybe feeling a little more uncomfortable, because it's definitely is pretty gross and pretty disgusting in a lot of things that they do. There's no subtlety to it. It's visual, it's visible, it's definitely there. So with that said, knowing that it's going to be at Universal Studios Florida, I don't expect that level of gore that they have in the movies. I expect more of an R-rated versus NC-17. But it will be fun. Like I do appreciate Art the Clown. I do think it's a cool concept, cool character. So really excited to see how that house turns out. Question I asked this past week on Instagram was, when you've flown on airplanes, have you had any experiences where you run into or have seen celebrities or friends or anything like that? So I do have a number of experiences that I've had, which I think are really cool. But first, I wanted to share some of the listeners. So friend of the show, Megan Fernandez, we've had a number of times, more recently a few weeks ago, talking about Epic Universe. She didn't name anyone specifically, but she said that she runs into people she knows everywhere, Boston, Disney, New York City, etc. She didn't want to name any names, I guess, but Megan's a bit of a social butterfly, so not surprising. So really, I'm sure she has a lot of fun when she sees people that she knows. Another friend of the show who we had on a while back, Mary Kate, she also talked about seeing people on an airplane. So here's a funny story that she said. So I'm just going to read this verbatim in terms of how she shared it with me. She says she has a habit of calling random strangers by names of people they resemble. I mean, a lot of people do that probably, right? Just kind of like in their head in terms of either remember who they are, or it's kind of funny, like, hey, this guy looks kind of like that guy. So she saw a random tall bald guy who looked no, sorry, let me try it again. So she was on a flight from Philly to Chicago for a show, probably a wrestling show, and she saw a curly-haired Russian-looking guy on the flights. She looks at him and she thinks, ha ha ha, that guy looks kind of like Yakov Smirnoff. For those that don't remember, he was a comic, I believe in the 80s or 90s or whatever else like that, where it was kind of goofy, it was kind of silly, but I mean, overall funny, especially for its time. She gets off the flight and he gets his suitcase down from the top, and she notices on his luggage tag, what is the name on it? The luggage tag says Yakov Smirnoff. So she, in her mind, she saw it, she recognized him, but didn't think it was really him because, again, it's been years, so who knows what these people actually look like. She gave him a nickname, and weirdly ended up being the guy that had that nickname. Another one that came in yesterday, I think it was, from a friend of the show, Natalie. So Natalie said, let me just make sure I'm going far enough back in the notes here to what she had said. What did she say? She saw somebody. Oh, that's right. She saw Stephen Baldwin. So she was on a flight, I think to Vegas, she had said, and she randomly saw Stephen Baldwin, which she kept thinking Biodome the entire time. So that's pretty funny. Stephen Baldwin, I'm not sure if he's been in anything recently, but obviously one of the Baldwin brothers with Alec and Billy and all the others, whatever. So definitely, it's definitely random when you see somebody famous or somebody you know on a flight. So myself, I've had a number of weird experiences. So I'd say my two best or favorite experiences were, one of them, it was, I want to say, August of 2021, and I was flying home from Cincinnati. I was out there for a work trip, and because of storms and weather, my flight got changed, and so I got set up on a plane from Cincinnati, which actually Cincinnati's airport's in Kentucky. So going from Kentucky through DC to get back to Newark, New Jersey. As I'm walking through the airport, I get a text from my buddy Chad, great friend of mine, one of my college roommates. I've known him now for, I guess at this point, like 30 years. Actually, I guess it's 30 years next month, which is crazy to think about, but I guess time is a weird thing. I'm walking, and all of a sudden I hear, hey, so are you flying today? And I'm like, yeah, I'm actually flying home from Cincinnati. Why is that? He goes, meet me at gate 18 or something like that. So I look up, and he's just standing right there, which is super, super random. So I was super happy to see him. We got a drink. It was really cool to catch up because I hadn't seen him in a little while, especially during COVID times. People weren't traveling or seeing other people as much. Weirdly, also, we both got upgraded on that flight, and we're sat next to each other in first class, which is even really, really cool, really different. So that was a lot of fun. Got to catch up with him for a bit on that flight as well. But again, the universe works in weird ways. But again, of all the people that I could have been, randomly seen at the airport and randomly got upgraded next to, I was super excited and super happy that Chad got that opportunity, as did I, because that was really cool. We flew to DC together. From there, I think he flew from DC to Pennsylvania airport, and then I flew to Newark, New Jersey. So that was that. Another one that I oftentimes reference, I'm not sure if I've ever talked about on the show, but one of my favorite ones was August of 2013. I was flying from Newark, New Jersey to Los Angeles for a work trip. And for those that don't know or haven't heard my history, I'm not a great flyer. I do get motion sick. So when I get the opportunity to upgrade to first class, I try to. So whether it be using miles or paying or whatever, like, again, my company will pay for the base ticket, but then I have no issue paying to upgrade myself when the opportunity is there. So for this flight going from Newark, New Jersey to Los Angeles, I upgraded myself. I sat in first class. I'll sit in first class. So we get sat on the plane first. And as I'm sitting there, I see the entire Connecticut Sun WNBA team boards onto the plane. So the main reason I knew it was them was they all had the same, matching gear. And this was 2013. So more recently, I think because of Caitlin Clark, the WNBA flies private, but back in 2013, they were flying, commercial. So they all had Connecticut Sun merchandise, sweatshirts, hats, logo gear, whatever else like that. Plus, you really can't miss them. They're all like 6 feet tall, 6 feet plus, whatever else like that. Now, for me, what stuck out was the fact that, me, I'm 5'8", so I'm not huge. I'm, below average for a male in the United States in 2025 from a height perspective, sitting there, and they're all walking back. Not only did they not have Economy Plus, but they were all sitting in the back of Economy. So you had these people who were, 6+ feet. Like, I think their coach was like 6'10", sitting all the way in the back of the plane. And this just blew my mind. I was like, these are professional athletes, and they're sitting in economy while, me, I'm sitting up front in first class for a cross-country flight, which just blew me away. So as everybody probably knows or realizes by now, I do try to get celebrity pictures when possible. Just kind of like the old saying was like, what was it? Pics or didn't happen. So for me, A, I wanted someone to document it, and B, I collect those kinds of things. Like, I love getting the interaction. I love getting a picture with celebrities and such. So as soon as I saw them walk by, I quickly went on my phone and found the website, A, to confirm that it was them, which it was them, and B, to see if there were a couple of players that I could pick out faces and names, so that way I can, hopefully when we land in Los Angeles, approach one of them, say, hey, so-and-so, I'm a huge fan. Can I get a picture with you? Which I ended up doing. So obviously I spent the next 6 hours rehearsing how that interaction would go. I found one of them, Kelsey Griffin. I think she eventually played in Australia, but she played in the United States for a number of years in WNBA, and again was on the Connecticut Sun at that time. After we got off the plane, I approached her. I said, hey, Kelsey Griffin, a huge fan. Can I get a picture with you? I did. She got a picture. It was a lot of fun. But again, for me, it still blows me away that, in 2013, which wasn't that long ago, you had a professional sports team who's, on TV, they have merchandise, all sorts of stuff like that, and travels the country, was sitting in the back in economy on a commercial flight. So that was definitely something. If anybody else has any other like interesting or famous interactions on a plane, let me know. I have a few other smaller ones, I would say. Like one of them, I think it was back in 2007. Beth and I flew to Columbus, Ohio for a UFC fighting event. And we saw Chuck Zito was on our flight. Chuck, not sure if anybody knows, I think he was on Oz, the TV series on HBO. He's probably done a few other things too. Huge UFC fan. They always put him on TV at the time as well at UFC events. When we got to the airport in Columbus to pick up our luggage, Beth and I were standing far back from the luggage, where the baggage comes out or whatever else like that. And if anybody remembers the scene from Tommy Boy where Tommy lands in Sandusky, Ohio, and his luggage just garbage bags, and Richard Spade made a comment about, oh, this has to be your luggage. So a couple of either boxes or garbage bags or something are on the baggage, terminal thing or whatever. And I look at Beth and I go, hey, look, it's Chuck Zito's luggage, just kind of making a joke. Weirdly enough, 30 seconds later, Chuck walks over, picks it up, and walks away. So I guess, the movie was a little foreshadowing of what actually happens, that sometimes well-known people or celebrities don't necessarily have the greatest of luggage. So that was pretty funny. I got a kick out of that. I've been on flights with like Patrick Elias, former New Jersey Devils player. That was one where, again, also flying from New Jersey to Los Angeles, coincidentally. I was going to approach him or ask him for a picture after we landed, but he was there, it seemed like, with his family after the Devils didn't make the playoffs, so his family went out to California. His kids were being loud, and it seemed like he had his hands full, so I figured that was probably not the time to make that approach. Last one I would say that I thought was really fun and interesting was, it was a couple of years ago. We were flying home from Disney World, from Florida, and Beth messages me and goes, the guy who's sitting in front of you, he looks just like the rabbi who married us. And I looked up and I was like, I mean, it's been at this point 20 plus years. I didn't really remember, wasn't really sure. And I was like, sure, okay. It's just it's an old dude. I'm sure it's absolutely him. Kind of joking, not really thinking it was really him. So what did I do on the flight? I sat down, and on my iPad, I have my old my wedding video. So I went back and watched the footage, and then I walked by the guy when I went to the bathroom at one point, and I looked at Beth and I go, yeah, that's absolutely him. So I sat right behind the rabbi who married us, back in 2004 for the flight. Like, legitimately, he was the aisle seat, and I was one row behind him on the aisle seat as well. I'm not sure if he recognized me or not. I mean, I haven't seen him in probably before that I had seen him in like 18 or 19 years. Plus, he's very old at this point, so who knows how people's memories are. He sees a lot of people, I'm sure. He, at one point, at the end of the flight, he turns around, looks at me, puts his hand on my shoulder, and I think he's about to say something, super like, hey, Jeff, how's it going? Or how's your family? Or something like that. And he just says to me, he goes, you know, they lost my luggage. I want my suitcase and they can't find it. And then I looked at him, I go, I'm sorry to hear that. You know, hopefully they find your luggage and hopefully everything works out as you'd like it to. And then he takes his hand off my shoulder, turns around and sits down again. So I'm not sure if it was his way of trying to make, break the ice and start a conversation, or if he was legitimately just kind of complaining to somebody about his luggage getting lost or what was going on there. But either way, it was a very weird and funny interaction that, I do think about from time to time. It's weird. I don't know. Who knows how that ended up or what was going on there. So that was that. So we're 40 minutes into the episode. I think we're good for now, being that I am exhausted from getting in late last night. And we have some cool episodes coming up the next few weeks. So next week, if all goes as planned, will be the 1-year anniversary episode of this podcast. I have something really cool planned. It's amazing to me that I've been doing this for a year at this point. It doesn't feel like it's been a year, but it feels like it's been a year. I don't know if that makes any sense. Also, weirdly to think about, when I first set out on this journey to start a podcast, I'd given myself about a year and a half to start the podcast. So back in like May of 2024, I said I would start a podcast by the end of 2025. So here we are at mid 2025, and I've already been on the air for a year. So very weird, very strange, but I guess for me, when I set myself goals, I stick with them, I do it, and then kind of here we are. So the only thing that really motivates me is motivating myself. So I guess that worked. So hope you all enjoyed this episode. Hope you all come back again next week for the 1-year extravaganza as we're going to have. Now it's time for me to go through the usual plugs that I didn't go through at the beginning of the show. So as a reminder, we are on Instagram at Everybody Has a Story Pod, TikTok at Everybody Has a Story Pod. My personal Instagram is at Seltzer77. You can reach out to the show directly via email at everybodyhasastorypod@gmail.com. For all things Jeff Seltzer, you can always check me out at jeffseltzer.com. Reminder, it does have all of the information for the show, so all the different podcast links, the different social media links, the email link, all sorts of stuff like that. Plus, at the bottom of jeffseltzer.com is all the videos that I reference. So me doing live wrestling commentaries at the bottom of jeffseltzer.com. The Dexter video and audio is at the bottom of jeffseltzer.com. Additionally, brand new to the show is everybodyhasastorypod.com, which as of right now is just the Dexter video and audio. So not sure what I'm going to do with that website yet, but as of right now, that's where it's pointed. So that is that. Reminder, we are available on all podcast platforms. We are video on Spotify and YouTube. We are audio on Spotify and YouTube, as well as everywhere else. Additionally, I wanted to remind everybody, or tell everybody maybe for the first time since I recorded an episode, but it hasn't aired yet, that we are on letterboxd.com. So for those people who use Letterboxd to keep track of their movies and stuff that they watch, I randomly started playing with it a few days ago and found that they've pulled my podcast in. So if anybody wants another place to listen to this podcast, you can find it over at letterboxd.com. It's a cool site. So we'll see how that goes. Last reminder, if anybody wants to win a Weird Al Yankovic blanket that I got as part of my VIP package yesterday at the Weird Al concert, direct message me at Everybody Has Story Pod on Instagram. First person who direct messages me there and asks for the blanket will get it. I will pay for shipping and I will send it out to you. So hopefully somebody will enjoy it and a fan will get to make the most of that blanket. With that said, I hope everybody has an amazing week, and we will have a huge show next week and some more shows obviously after that. So take care and be good to each other. Bye.
Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Everybody